Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Clear Politics Takeaway for Tuesday, June 29th. I'm Tom Bevan, co-founder and president of Real Clear Politics.
And I'm Carl Cannon, Washington bureau chief.
Carl, are you feeling patriotic?
Well, you know me, Tom.
These days?
I'm always patriotic, but this is a summer. Last summer was so tough, and riots and demonstrations and misgivings. And this year we've got. We had Juneteenth, which we talked about that. I thought that was a great holiday. We're leading. It's going to, I think, eventually be from Juneteenth to July 4th is going to be a time of national celebration of this country, warts and all. And what we have now is the Olympics and an American Olympic team, Tom, that looks like it's the strongest one we've had in decades.
So, Carl, this is a nice segue to the fact that we have a new poll coming out from Real Clear Opinion Research about patriotism, what it means to be patriotic, and in this day and age. And there's an example of that that's in the news because of the Olympics, right? You had this third place female hammer thrower, African-American woman named Gwen Berry, who basically, turned away from the flag and the national anthem when it was played. And this set off...
And then covered her head with a warm-up jersey.
She was wearing a shirt that said activist athlete, right? Mm-hmm. And so this set off a firestorm, and we've now had Republican Rep. Dan Crenshaw, Republican Senator Tom Cotton call for her to be replaced, booted off the team because in their minds, you have to be proud to represent your country. That's part of the deal of being on the Olympic team for the United States. Meanwhile, Jen Psaki was asked about this yesterday in the White House press briefing room and said, look, President Biden respects everyone's right to protest peacefully. And so he's taking the side of Gwen Berry. An interesting dilemma, Carl. What's your opinion on this?
Well, I thought Jen Psaki flubbed that question a little bit, but it was, what could she say? I mean, Biden doesn't want to criticize her. That's what Donald Trump did to Colin Kaepernick and these other athletes who took a knee. So he doesn't want to go there. On the other hand, the U.S. Olympic team is paid for by the taxpayers. And, you should be, if you're not proud to represent your country, you probably shouldn't go. That's probably a majority view in this country. And Joe Biden, the president, didn't want to be dismissive of that view. So, the other thing you mentioned, Dan Crenshaw and Tom Cotton, I admire both those guys, but to me, when conservatives start practicing cancel culture, I'm not cool with that any more than when progressives do it. Look, there's going to be a lot of that kind of stuff at the Olympics. We're just going to have to get used to it. I think the right way to think about it is the bookend is 1968 when two Olympics, John Carlos and Tommy Smith, they were trained at San Jose State. They were the greatest sprinters in the world, and they raised a fist with a black glove on it, and they were sent home from the team. If American athletes do that in Tokyo, they're not going to be sent home from the team. And I think the way to look at that is, look, it's a big, wide country, and there are a lot of different ways to express your love in America, your disappointment in America. I prefer the flag waving types myself. That's just me. But I'm gonna cheer for all the American athletes there, whether or not they want to look gracious and sing along with the Star Spangled Banner, or whether they don't. I just think this country can produce all these athletes in all these sports. It's the first time Michael Phelps won't be there. I guess there's many Americans watching won't have been alive the last time Phelps wasn't there. And we got a new crop of swimmers, gymnasts, track and field athletes. I just think it's time to just get behind the athletes, irrespective of their politics.
But this is the question, is what Gwen Berry did, is that an act of patriotism, right? How do you define patriotism? There are certain folks on the left who say that's the essence of America. You should be able to do that. And the question is, well, where does that stop? If she were to take an American flag and throw it on the ground and stomp on it, is that considered patriotic as well? This is an issue that we're getting into and we're looking at with our polling, but
right, that's right.
Certainly different people view what is patriotic in different ways, Carl.
Well, that's right, Tom. And I wasn't impressed by what she did, and her explanations of it later, I was set up. She just came across as a self-centered narcissist without a well thought out political view at all. But you know what? That's some athletes are like that too. It didn't bother me tremendously, is what I'm saying. And And in terms of patriotism, our poll's going to show this. We'll talk more about this during the week. We're looking at the data now, but Americans have very different views of what it means to be patriotic. But the old thing from when I was a kid, my country right or wrong, that doesn't cut it anymore. And people who love the country think if you really love it, you got to fight like hell to improve it. And you got to narrow the gaps in racial, income equality and all kinds of things. So, you know what? I'm going to be writing that story, so I don't want to give too many of my opinions. I've got an open mind, but I'll say this: some people think it's patriotic to recycle your trash, and you know what? It's not an economic act. I mean, it's an act people do for the greater good, and so we need to, I think about it from that broad perspective while you and I are talking and writing about it this week.
And as we approach July 4th, it's a great topic to cover. And as we get ready to continue to watch the Olympic trials and get ready to watch the Olympics in Tokyo, which Joe Biden said yesterday he's not going to attend, but he's going to send a delegation. So we will leave it there this morning. I'm Tom Bevan, co-founder and president of RealClearPolitics.
I'm Carl Cannon, Washington Bureau Chief, and this has been the RCP Takeaway for Tuesday, June 29th, 2021.